Om. 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 Siren, everyone. Last week we were discussing about the offering, what it is to offer, what with what feeling we should offer, and so on, and what would be our own joy of offering, and how do we deal with this world, and should we enjoy anything of this world or not. These were some of the topics which we discussed. I think there was a question which Sister Shivani had asked. I think she is not here yet, so I will wait for her to come back and ask the question if necessary. We will continue from where we left off about Lord Sri Krishna telling us how we should live in this world, what are the different techniques available for us to uh, grow our devotion. Okay, with that, I will ask the sisters to take over.
So this is the path. This is that path. Establish your mind and intelligence in me. If you cannot accomplish this and find it difficult, give up your egoism and carry on activities that are moral and holy. If even this is too difficult, give up attachment to the fruits, the consequences of all your acts. Offer them to me as Krishnarpanam, offerings to Krishna. Offering your acts to me should not be a mere vocal exercise. Take care that you do so, by word, by deed, and by thought. Manova karma, as they say. Do you feel that even this is beyond you? Then you will be made aware of the aftermath. After saying this much, Krishna sat silent for a while. Take note of this. The aspirant for grace must have before his mind the act and not its consequence, beneficial or otherwise. That is the reason why Gopala said that jnana is superior to abhyasa, systematic practice. Dhyana is superior to jnana. And the giving up of attachment to the consequences of your acts is superior to dhyana. Such non-attachment, Krishna said, will confer shanti, peace. Bhakti and dvesha, which is hate, are as fire and water. Devotion and hate cannot dwell together. I love those who feel no difference between grief and joy, affection and dislike, good and bad. If hate in whatever form is in howsoever slight a quantity resides in the heart, that person cannot be a bhakta. The bhakta must be convinced that all this is Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamidam. That is to say, one's own Atma is everywhere, in everything. This truth must be realized, acted upon, and experienced. Hating another is hating oneself. Scorning another is but scorning oneself. Finding fault with another is finding fault with oneself. Krishna continued. Readers might be troubled by a doubt on this point. Can the mere absence of hatred or contempt of another endow one with the full consciousness of the truth of Vasudeva Sarvamidam? No, the mere absence of hate, etc., cannot secure the dweller within and the ananda of recognizing him. That will not win the grace of the Lord.
Thank you, sister. I think in terms of Telugu, I think we only the last two paragraph. I don't think we read in Telugu, if you remember. We only read up to the point where the Lord says, Jnana is Shrestha compared to Dhyana and so on.
Yeah, we stopped there. Yeah.
We stopped there. So I think we will, I think that was something which we have discussed reasonably okay, I guess. Thoroughly. So we will continue on to the next paragraph in Telugu and I will ask Auntie to read.
Sairam. నీటికి నిప్పుకు ఎట్లు పొత్తు కుదరదో అటులనే ద్వేషమునకు భక్తికి పొత్తు కుదరదు. That's what I think I should read, isn't it?
Yes, Auntie.
భక్తి and ద్వేషం. Yeah. నీటికి నిప్పుకు ఎట్ల పొత్తు కుదరదో అటులనే ద్వేషమునకు భక్తికి పొత్తు కుదరదు.
Swami is saying, just as water and fire are not inimical to each other or do not belong to each other, the same way bhakti and dvesha cannot coexist.
భేద మోదములు రాగద్వేషములు మంచి చెడ్డులు లేకుండా అన్నిటినీ సమానంగా చూచేవాళ్ళు నాకు ప్రియులు అని కూడా తెలిపాను.
He says, showing separation or feeling averse to something or liking something or having an attachment for something or hatred for something or looking at good and bad, these distinctions, without these, looking at everything equally, that is, such people are very dear to me. That also Krishna said.
ఏ రూపమునను సరియే ద్వేష ప్రవృత్తి అంతఃకరణమునందు ఉండినా
in whichever way, in whichever form the hatred or dvesha remains in one's inner instruments,
వాడు భక్తుడు కాజాలడు.
such a person cannot be a devotee.
వాసుదేవ సర్వమిదం, సమస్తము వాసుదేవుడనే భావము ఉండవలెను.
Vasudeva Sarvam Idam. All this is Vasudeva, the Lord. Everything is God. That type of feeling should be there.
తన ఆత్మయే అంతటను అన్నింటినన్ను ఉన్నదని తలంచి చరించి భావించి దేనిని ద్వేషించినను తనను తాను ద్వేషించుకున్న వాడగునని కూడాను సెలవిచ్చెను.
He said that one should see that one's own Atma is everything. It's within everything. Thinking thus, behaving in that way, feeling in that manner, whatever one feels hatred for dvesha, one is actually hating oneself. So, thus, one has to think. That also Krishna said.
Should I continue or should we stop here?
I think we'll stop here, Auntie.
Yeah, because let us.
Yeah, this is a lot
of things to discuss here in this paragraph.
Swami is saying water and fire cannot mix. The same way, bhakti and dvesha cannot mix. And that is the essence. And then Swami is giving the type of attitude which we have to cultivate to overcome that. So I'll stop here. If anyone has something to share or observe, please go ahead, please. See, after having given us different techniques of worshipping the Lord, now the Lord is telling us what would be the end result in us, what's the state we will reach. And he says we will not see any differences, we will not like or dislike, everything will be seen as Atman. We will reach that state. I think that's And when we reach that state, the Lord says we are dear to Him. He likes us. So that's Swami is saying, maybe I will ask a question. Swami says, E Rupa Mainanu, in whichever form, Dvesha should not be in one's inner instrument. So I think that's something which,
Adveshta Sarvabhutanam.
yes, Auntie.
That this thing it comes.
So what are the different forms of Dvesha in us? I think maybe that's something which we can explore. So,
Yeah.
Uncle, I think like in my understanding, is it that any kind of like hatred would be dvesha, right? Or an aversion to something would be dvesha? Would also like jealousy, resentment, all of that be dvesha as well?
yeah, I think the different manifestations of Dvesha, yes, that's possibly.
And even like a mild preference for something over another, that can also be ragadvesha.
Yeah, that means indirectly we are not liking something else, something. It's implied. Now, Dvesha is implied, I guess. That's true. Yes, Naidu, brother, or Sister Dulari, or Brother Ron. I think you have to unmute yourself, brother.
Hi, Sairam.
Sairam, brother.
I just have a question. It is, what are the techniques to develop equanimity of your mind? Because when I'm looking at this, I see what Swami Vaprit talking about equanimity, right? Do not be affected by anything. Is there any techniques you can share or
Okay, thank you.
equanimity
Okay, thanks.
of the mind? Yeah.
Thanks, brother. I will post the question to everyone. Is there any technique to develop this? Is the question Brother Ron is asking. Anyone would like to share anything?
But Sairam, whatever Swami says, like, if it's a bad company, run away from it. So that is allows you to not trap into this hatred and all. You have to choose your company, right? That's what it comes to my mind. Thank you, Sairam.
Yeah, Saram, I was thinking more of the mind, right? Because as you know, your mind is full of thoughts. Everything comes in there, right? So you are right, sister. Appreciated company is important, but it's going more into the mind, right? How do we develop equanimity of the mind?
I think in terms of company, I think Swami says ultimately what the company, the mind keeps, the thoughts which it keeps also is company. Also, I think something Swami has said that you're talking about company. But I will again open it up to others if anyone would like to share anything. Yes, Brother Varadhan, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think that is, a very good question, and it's a very hard thing to do, but we have to practice that one. I think the only way is whenever that situation arises, like, like you just think about Swami. And when we think it, okay, Swami, then that thing, okay, we better like leave it that situation. We shouldn't do that, and that's how we have to train our mind to think about Swami. And then we calm down from that. I know that sometimes people are annoyed and it's hard to be not too involved with that, mad at him or something. It is, you get upset. But like you think about that moment, you just trying to think about Swami. Oh, Swami says this, I just ignore him and leave it, not to hate him or something. That's for my humble opinion. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, Brother Varadhan. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share anything?
Brother, one more thing can I share, please? Because
Yes.
every time you take the responsibility yourself, right? Anything goes wrong without pointing your fingers, that's itself avoid the hatred. You know, you are taking yourself, then nothing to hate about anything. Yeah. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Yes, Sai Satish, you may go ahead.
Ramana. So, brother, many times in terms of situations, what earlier Sister Aruna also had mentioned, and what other brother also had brought up, it's about what I identify myself with. When the situation is happening, can I separate myself from that situation that is happening? Can I play a witness to the thoughts that arise in my mind, and not like what even Ramana Maharshi would say this, that even as the thought is coming, it is like how we have in the uh, field of the mind, as long as we don't mount the furrow. Basically, it's like how we have in the olden days of agriculture, where the farmer mounts the plow and it furrows the land. So in the mind as well, as the thought arises, if we don't mount the thought, or we don't ride with it, that is, we don't identify ourselves with it and allow it to pass seamlessly across the mind's eye, in that case we are not identifying ourselves with it, and that is what it is. Tell me your company, I shall tell you what you are. So we see how the whole thing happens, and instead of reacting to it, we respond to a situation based on establishing ourselves, connecting ourselves with Swami, and then respond to the situation, which makes it more reflective in nature, which makes it more being a witness and brings out the best rather than being part of it. So it's more like when we watch a game, we enjoy the game, but when we are playing the game, we get caught so much with the game that we at times could lose it. So as much as we are playing a witness and see how it happens, whether it is the same thing what Lord Krishna says, Sukha Dukhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jaya, whatever, whether it is success or failure, happiness or sorrow, all the kinds of opposites that comes, we are able to look at it at that sense, play the witness and then go with it, which would help us to travel towards equanimity. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, Brother Sai Satish. Yes, Brother Dasan.
Yes, Sairam, brother. So we have to understand what is the truth. The truth is the one, Atma is the truth. Everywhere, even movable, immovable, we have to think about Atma. So rest all not is not that's all impermanent. So once you understand the same Atma in all living being, so we are doing that Lord's Lord's work. In that case, we are not going to differentiate. Then we can develop our equanimity towards that one. Thank you, brother Sairam.
Sairam, brother, thank you. Sister Anandi.
Sairam, my simple technique to bring even the body, mind, intellect, anything to be in a balanced state, that is called the equanimity. And I always think it may or may not apply, or it may not be well work for the other people. We always think only in one side. Instead, you put yourself to the other person and you put yourself in the opposite direction, and then ask yourself the question whether if I am in that person, what I will be doing, and what would be my answer? And what would be if the opposite person did something, even tell me, or reacted to me, or even did any harm to me? What would be my position? Or if I have done, what would be their position? If you, I believe Brother Sai Shakti is also, he has already mentioned that point. Rather than the looking at your side, you also look at in the other side and take yourself out of your position as a third person. You go and analyze yourself, your mental thought, it will be calmed down in most of the time. That's the technique I always use. Think about you are a third person. Then even if you think about you as the first person, something happened to me, your reaction, it will be very aggressive, irate, angry, and everything. But if you stand out as a third person, think about even the big thing, it could mean to you as a very simple thing. That is the technique I always apply, and I have been successful too. I just wanted to share that one. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. Uncle Gopalan?
Saira,
Yeah.
I just remember Swami's quote, where there is love, there is no hate. So, thank you.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you. Any other thought about this? Techniques to use. I think everyone has shared techniques which they have found of some use.
Yes,
to share.
Sairam, I think it's really good, and thank you for actually sharing it. I observed, one obviously has to watch one's company, and then as the other brother mentioned, witness of your thoughts, and then as the sister mentioned, put yourself in a third party. And that's all good, and I really appreciate it. But I was looking at more in terms of geopolitics, right? In terms of what's happening in the Middle East, right? So I was looking at it more that, and sometimes I look at it and I say, wow, this shouldn't be happening. And in my mind, I developed so many things, not at an individual level, looking at more from a geopolitics, right? And this is where it's very difficult to actually have equanimity of your mind, because you see people suffering. So that's the actual context that my question was. But I don't want to take too much of your time on this study circle, but I just wanted to actually find out about equanimity of your mind, right? When you're dealing with these affairs.
Thank you, brother. I think it's a very pertinent question, brother, and it's an application of this principle, Dvesha. So I think you brought a very practical point. So there is the Middle East conflict, or Ukraine-Russia conflict, or whichever, any conflict. What happens is we all listen to the news, and different people voice different things. And I think as a result, there are some negative emotions, compassion also maybe, but along with that, there will be some negative emotion. And we all feel that we may have to fix this somehow. I think that's what you are referring to. So there is hatred, which is what Swami doesn't want us to have. So I think your question is very, very pertinent. It's an application of this principle. So I think it's very pertinent. If anyone else would like to share your thoughts on this, whether the techniques you all shared, does that help this in a situation like this? I think it's a good exercise because it's a practical application of the principle. I will again open it up to anyone who would like to share. Thank you.
Tairamana.
Yes,
So,
Sai.
so again, I think we had discussed uh, this point on one of the earlier study circles as well. Um, so it is in this kind of situation, again, even as things unfold in the world, over things we don't have direct control over, how much can I include all of that in my daily prayers? We had, I think, Anna, you had mentioned earlier also how we pray for Sabko Sanmati Do Bhagawan, where we pray that everybody is blessed with the right wisdom and the right intellect. And we also go about as much as possible what is our response to it. If we are in a position to get together, do things together, send aid, that is something that can be looked at. If that is something that is beyond our means, at least every day, are we praying for them? Are we praying for the needy? Are we praying for people out there? And have them in our prayers as we go through our own life, continuing to pray for others' welfare, which we always chant Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. It is very disturbing indeed with all of these incidents happening across the world. But if we can stretch out and do whatever within our capability, great. If not, at least in our continuous prayers, if we have that going on, that is also once again something that we are doing, a very small infinitesimal portion, but no doubt we are doing at least that bit, which will also give us that same prayer. When we pray for others, our own welfare is contained in that. And so that process of praying itself will slowly take us to a state of equanimity where we are able to understand and appreciate God's hand in everything that is happening and go forward with life. Saira.
Thank you very much, Satish. Anyone else would like to share?
Sairam,
Sairam, Auntie.
one must develop that compassion, the feeling of compassion more at heart. And the feeling of that mine and I, this is my this thing opinion, or not understanding the other person's feelings. And if we can put ourselves into the other shoes, as Anandi said, and what's the reason why that person is behaving like that? Why he's developing that hatred towards everybody? If we can understand, putting ourselves into his shoes, and one must be forgiving, mostly forgiving, so that we can stop hating others. Saira.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else? What is the technique to overcome and have equanimity when you witness problems around the world? Yes, Sister Aruna.
Brother, main reason again is ego too, right? You think everything you know. You don't understand the other side and try to understand also. So you don't take accountability and you just, the ego is the main reason for hatred, I think. Thank you, Sai.
Sairam, sister. Anyone else? Yes, Brother Tasan.
Yes, Sairam, brother. So most of the crime or most of the problems all happening, lack of love. So everyone's teaching the procedure, how to deal with the people, how to deal with the country, but that the love is not there. If they have the love, nothing cannot be harm anybody. Could be animal, it could be people. So you can say that I don't want to fight with the person, I'm not ignoring, I'm not seeing the person. That is not enough. How are you going to develop the love? So love you can do through the service. That is the only way you can resolve all the problems. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, Brother Tasan. Anyone else has something to say? So maybe I will share my thoughts on this. Just to go back to the topic of technique, that's the question brother asked initially, but then he pointed to a current situation, a world event. And the reality is, when we try to find out the world event, we will hear from different perspectives. Naturally, we will be affected. The solution is actually Krishna has already given in the 5 techniques which he gave. The first technique he gave was, think of me at all times. Don't think of anything else. Ananya Chintana of the Lord. A devotee would look at only the Lord because he knows the solution is only from the Lord. Even if a bad person has to become good, the only way that can happen is because of the Lord. Then we can ask the question, we thinking of the Lord, how will it solve somebody else's problem? The reality is, by us thinking of the Lord all the time, the energy of the Lord will flow through us to anyone whom we encounter in a little way. But beyond all that, all the problems in the world, only the Lord can solve. All the transformation in this world, only the Lord can accomplish. So that the first thing is, think of me all the time. As Krishna says, establish your mind and intelligence in me. So as soon as you take refuge in the Lord, see, the classic example of this is Draupadi. Draupadi was, she was being humiliated in the public by the Kauravas. What did she do? She just thought of the Lord. Dharmaraja, who was sitting there, he did not bat an eyelid. He would have also prayed to the Lord. They always pray to the Lord. So I think once we stop praying to the Lord, then we develop individual sense of righteousness, and we feel somebody is wrong, somebody is right. Possibly, that's the possibility. But we will judge. We will judge, and then as soon as we judge, we develop negative emotions, feelings, and even sense of despair and helplessness. The solution is to think of the Lord at all times. Even if we see something bad, if we are unable to help it, do anything of help, we should just pray. The second one he says is, once that will solve all the problems. And then he says, just take up my activity, or offer all the results to me. Everything is happening because of some karma. I think we already discussed karmic result is the actions what we see. There are people indulging in karma, and then there are people again engaging in karma, and then they will be reaping the results. We really do not know what is causing why to whom. But the only thing which we can do is, so one of the modern diseases, I would say, all of us may fall prey to it, is to read the news. Always the news is negative. And even though we know we don't have any power over anything, we still listen to the news, read the news. Precious time when we could think of the Lord, we spend in listening to commentary by people. Yes, there is something bad going on in this world, constantly happening. There are 6 billion people. I'm sure all of us, in some way, we also do something negative. So that's the reality. We can't be counting all the negatives someone is doing, but we should have the confidence. We can just chant the name of the Lord, and that is the best we can do to help the situation anywhere. We should always think of the Lord. Any point in time, we might read the news. Instead of reading the news or listening to news, we can read Swami's literature or listen to Swami's discourses. And then do seva around us, wherever things are within our power. then that's one way to avoid a negative thought. I thought I would share that. I will stop here. Sorry whether I answered any question or not. I will open it up for anyone else who would like to share anything.
Brother, practically, okay, we are thinking of Lord, okay, all the time. But you have to practically has to avoid those situations, right? You have to work, right? So for that, you have to, in your mind also, okay, thinking of Lord, sometimes you have to work with that. Obviously, Swami is going to work through, but this discrimination is given to us, right? So we have to see how we can fix our mind thoughts and think. Yes, obviously we have to have that, but in reality, what you're going to do, kind of only, I thought we have to think how to avoid this hatred. Thinking of Lord, yes, for basic, but other things also, don't you think we have to?
Why should you think of anything else? You'll think if, I think the question is, sister, I think we think we have to think of all the other things also, and then we should go and think of the Lord. A devotee, see, this is what brother.
No, we do have to do karma, right?
See, what brother Naidu asked is what is the exact question which Arjuna asked. Arjuna did not want to fight. We should understand that was also war. Arjuna was about to kill, and others were waiting to kill them. Okay. In that situation, Krishna is telling, think of me. Think of me and fight. Even if you have to kill somebody, think of me. Because you are not the one who kills. I am the one who kills.
Okay.
So the thing is, sister, see, again, we have to think, means as soon as then we are taking doership.
So think of me, brother. We don't think of that what is Swami has taught us then. That's the think of mean, right?
Yes, so then you are thinking of what Swami has said.
And Swami said, okay, this is what they have to do. Then that is think of Swami, right? Thinking just Swami and not doing anything is not Swami. You have to put it in action, right? That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, thank you, sister. So the thing is, that is a different way of thinking of the Lord. But the thing is, we cannot separate the Lord from anything which we do. So in some way, we have to connect, is what I said. So thinking of Swami, I think we should not think we sit in one place and only, say Sai Ram, and then keep quiet.
That's what I meant.
Okay, thank you, sister. Thank you. So that means whatever we do, we have to do as told by the Lord. Is what you say. But again, each time we will say, what does Swami want me to do? What does Swami want me to do? What does Swami want me to do? What does Swami want me to think? So each time, actually, you're thinking of the Lord. So I think, okay, sorry. I think I am talking.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm talking too much. So I will open it up for others to share their thoughts.
What are the reasons for this dvesha or hatred to come upon about others? Is it because they differ from us in their opinion about other, maybe in our faith, or is it because of their outer appearance? Sometimes hatred also comes, or when we interact with them, some kind of clashes which take place between me and the other person. These are the reasons I feel for this hatred to come. Or there are more reasons for hatred to come, if others can share their opinion. Saira.
Thank you very much, Auntie. So Auntie has opened up another way of looking at it. What are the things which cause hatred to blossom in us? And anyone who'd like to share?
Sairam.
Yes, Auntie.
If we think Swami is in every one of us, every one of the being, then there is no hatred. There is no hatred towards them, because everyone has a Swami in them, right? So I think that's what my thoughts. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you. So Auntie has given a solution to the problem before it arises. And so I think she has answered in a different way also, that when we forget that the Swami is residing in somebody else, hatred will come. To slightly change the, paraphrase her, what she shared.
To reach that place that Swami resides in everyone,
Yes.
we need a lot of effort to understand that kind of feeling. Atma is in everybody. That's what Swami is. The truth must be that, hating another person is hating oneself, or scorning some person is scorning oneself. That kind of feeling, if we can get, then there is no hatred at all. But to reach that place, have we done enough homework? That's my
Thank
question.
you very much, Auntie. So Auntie, the further question, how do we see divinity in others? What is a technique to cultivate that? Yes, Auntie Saku, please go ahead. Auntie, you are muted. You are unmute and speak.
Sorry. Yes, we know that Swami is residing in all creations. And so if you have to develop compassion, first step is to treat all other creations like animals, like goat, cow, then fish. All this, if we try to treat them with compassion, then we can become a non-vegetarian. Non-vegetarians can become a vegetarian and try to live on plants. That is one way of developing compassion. The other way is they should realize in the slaughterhouse, Baba has said it, in the slaughterhouse, when the animals are getting slaughtered, they make a cry, pathetic cry. That goes as a toxin into the muscles of those beings. And eating those flesh is very poisonous to our body. Bhagawan says that. So when we think about regarding our own betterment, and also for the safety of the other creations, we have to develop compassion and start step by step. You can reach that level. Unless you take a step, one step or two steps, you will never feel the pain of the other animals, you will not dare to touch any such a food. Thank you, Saira.
So thank you very much, Saku Auntie. I think so. Auntie has sort of brought out the point that our own thoughts, our own reactions, our own feelings is a result of what we consume. Maybe as food through our mouth, and also it can be also what we consume through other senses. So that has a direct relationship with our own feelings and thoughts. I think that's Saku Auntie's point, I guess. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts?
Sairam, just to add one little point. In my mind, I thought the steps. First, give up get rid of the egoism. That is the first step. And the second step, Sakwanti nicely explained about the compassion, develop compassion. And the third one, not to stop at that level. Don't say anything by word, by do that by action. You know, the telling something by word, that is sympathy. Rather than sympathy, you have to be empathetical. You know, do something by your actions or more than the words. So if you go to that level, even you are closer to the divinity, one step further, to reach to reach that level, or maybe moving up by one step. And so gradually, if you have to go through several steps, to reach the divinity. But these are the things, my additional point, not only by the words, but also by actions. You have to show that compassion, not by word. I really feel their sufferings. I really feel the pain. Don't leave at that level. You have to really show that by your action. Swami has reiterated that point several times. Don't say by words, do by actions. That would be equivalent to one action, would be equivalent to 1,000 words or more than 1,000 words. That's my little point. To reach the, maybe to see the divinity in others. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Uncle Gopal, and you have asked.
Sairam.
Okay, come on.
Thanks to Swami, Sai devotees, I don't think anybody have a hatred. Because we've been with Swami's in fold for a long time. And I don't think anybody have a hatred. Maybe they might dislike or something. I don't call it they will hate anybody. That's my opinion. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, thank you very much, Auntie. So, Auntie, you mentioned dislike. So, but is that a type of dvesha? I think that was Kalyani's point out some time back. Is it a slightly different manifestation of dvesha? Dislike.
Isn't it hatred is too strong word?
Yes, I understand. But Swami says dvesha of any kind, it should not be in whatever form. So I think when we discussed, even sometimes subtle, some slight dislike, can we consider dvesha, was a question which we discussed.
Sairam, that's what I thought. So until today, I wasn't thinking that dislike is not dvesha or hate. But after today's point, I realized that is a form, that is the beginning of the dvesha, I think. If we letting that in our mind, that would develop without we are knowing, that develop that habit. So that is Swami's, I think it's very clear here that is even something dislike. So that is not, then that is that the equanimity is gone there, right? So Sainam, that's my opinion. Thank you, Sainam.
Yes, brother. Here Swami has said grief and joy, affection and dislike, good and bad. All this I hate in different form. That's the way I also read. Thank you. Auntie Sakko, please.
Yeah, it's not only in the adult level, even the school children. They don't know where to say, I hate, or I dislike, or I don't like. They are using for everything. No matter in what situation they are using, because peer pressure, they learn it and they come and drop it at home.
Yeah, correct. First thing what they learn is I don't like. That's the first word which they learn. I don't like.
That is
I like
they
it.
say, I hate that. I don't like to eat that. I hate that.
That is the language. What can they do?
They
learn.
don't know the seriousness.
No, I think they realize that this is Dvesha. Brother Dasan.
Yes, Sairam, brother. Just coming to the point, to the like and dislike. If you're thinking in a spiritual aspect, that Lord doesn't have any like and dislike because He's the one created everything. When we are walking on the street, something we find something or we touch something, we might dislike because of the quality or something. But just think about your shadow. If the shadow touch anything, shadow doesn't say I don't like or I don't dislike. So be like a shadow. That is the God quality. In that way, there won't be any hatreds too. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brothers. Thank you. Anyone else has something to say?
Brother,
Yes.
just thing, the hatred, now we wanted to see where the hatred is begin, right?
Yes.
So we know a lot of things now. So it's when now after learning all these things, now we have to see where the hatreds like a sprout or where it comes from, right? That we have to identify within us or somebody. We have to identify. I think everything we have to identify ourselves. We have to question. So I just wanted that to discuss and understand a little more on that. Thank you, Simon.
Sairam. So I think it takes us back to the question which Auntie Mani asked, because she said, knowing, realizing that God is in everyone is a very long process. But I think where it can start is to realize that there is God in us. One thing is to say, oh, there is Swami within my heart. But unless it, in every thought, word, and deed that Swami is coming through, we really have not experientially realized that the God, Swami is within us. So then that is where Swami is saying, whereas bhakti and dvesha cannot exist. So I think that ultimately, the day we realize that the Lord is within us, how do we realize that the Lord is within us? I think maybe that's the question which all of us can explore. Because once we know how that we see God in us all the time, then we can transplant that. It's a transferable skill. We can transfer that to others also. But how do we see there is God within us? Is it just saying, oh, there is Swami in my heart? Or is it more than that? I think that is something which we discuss. That will be nice, I think. So I will stop here. I will open it up for everyone to discuss, share their thought. Yes, Brother Ron.
Yes, Saram. So that's a very, very good question. So I think to answer that, I'd be thinking of that acronym WATCH, right? You watch your words, your actions, your thoughts, your character, and your heart. And you associate the 5 human values with it and be continuously aware of that. That's where I would assume you know that God is within you, and by actually practicing.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. So Brother Ron has shared is, way for us to sort of evaluate whether there's godliness in us through observing the words, actions, thoughts, character, and heart. Anyone else would like to show how do we get to that point of completely, continuously identifying God within us? Anyone else would like to share anything?
Saramana.
Yes, sir.
So, if we have that feeling that God is within, that means what we are essentially saying is we are a temple and there is God within. So whatever we do for a temple that is outside, that is how we should literally begin treating this temple that houses that Lord. So in terms of course, Brother Ron has already told about the unity in thought, word, and deed, the purity that it exhibits, the way we speak is soft and sweet. And what Swami has also said about for each of the, I think in another discourse that we read today as well, where Swami is saying, what is the ornament for the hand? What is the ornament for the throat? What is the ornament for the ear? So for the hand, it is charity. For the throat, it is speaking the truth. For the ears, it is listening to the scriptures. So verily, we become a moving temple in the sense at every point in time, the reverence with which because when we go to the temple, even as we enter to see the deity, we literally touch the floor of the temple to our eyes, even if we are not able to touch the deity. That is the sanctity, or that is the purity or the exalted status that a temple itself has. So in that case, am I leading a life that is worthy of being in that exalted status? That's what it would come to enshrine, of being in that always constant integrated awareness that Swami is within. Every second passes, which again goes back to the same thing of being in continuous thinking of the Lord, because the Lord is verily within. That is how essencing that in day-to-day conversation that would build, even as we finally realize that, yeah, the temple and the indweller are nothing but one and the same. Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Just to echo, what Brother Ron said and what you said, that watching our words, thoughts, and actions is all related to karma. But I think we can also slightly twist it and say the jnanendriyas also should be such that if the Lord is within us, will we see this? If the Lord is within us, will we listen to this? The Lord is within us, will we taste this? The Lord is within us, will we touch this? That also we can ask. Because if the Lord is within us, we will not supply sights which the Lord will not like to see. If the Lord is within us, we will not supply the Lord within us with words and information which the Lord will not like to listen. So that way also we can, that's also another way. One is watching what's going out. The other one is watching what comes in also. The jnanendriyas. So, if you're watching something, some TV program or something, we have to ask the question, Swami is inside. Will Swami like to see this? Swami is in us. Would Swami like to listen to this news item or this gossip or whatever? I think that's also another way we can ensure that the Lord remains and he doesn't leave. Not being able to bear it. Okay. So I think that was also another thought which came to me. I will again ask others to share their thoughts.
So, Sairam, brother, so the God, we can only experience it. For an example, air, we can experience it. Butter, we cannot see it in the milk. Same thing, furnitures, we cannot see it on the tree. So it's all your mind. Your mind's supposed to be to the heart, not outside. The key is within you. The key for the lock is the heart. So if it turn left side, it will turn to Lord side. If you turn right side, it will go to the worldly side. So only you can experience the Lord when you turn left side, the key. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brother, thank you. I know you have introduced left and right. I don't know whether everyone will agree with the left is God way or right, but I think that's the way the locks close and lock, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay, Sairam. Sairam. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? Yes, Gopal, uncle, or
Sairam. It
yes,
just thought came. We have to ask ourselves, whatever we are doing, we have to think: is Swami likes this when we do this? Swami likes this. Swami approve of this, and if we ask ourselves all the time, is Swami likes what I'm doing? So I guess that's the only thing we can increase our doing things. Like we don't go and dislike anybody or not to say to them or hurt them or anything. So we have to ask ourselves all the time: is Swami likes this? That's what I thought. Thank you, Sairam.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Sairam, uncle. When Swami is saying, you shouldn't have any raga, dvesha, or even good or bad, you should treat everything the same. That's like the, very highest state, I guess, right? Because I don't think we should be trying to practice that. Is that correct? Because if we say we don't even have any preference for anything, then we can say I shouldn't have a preference for satsang versus, other company, good or bad company. Even those kind of distinctions would also be would not be the samana that Swami's talking about here.
Okay, thank you, Kalyan. That's a good question. So I think the other two seem to be okay, but good and bad, should we still pay attention to that? Because Swami has used the word manchi cheddalu lekunda. Okay, that's in Telugu also he said that. So should we distinguish good and bad and engage in good actions or not? I think that's the question Kalyan is asking. I will ask anyone who would like to share your thoughts. In which state will we see, will we ever go to a stage where the good and bad should not be weighed? I think that's the question. Anyone?
Brother, can you please clarify the question again, please? Thank you.
So Kalyani's question is, as we are progressing in the spiritual path, we should do all things which are good and we should avoid doing things which are bad. But in this, if that is so, in Swami's statement, Swami says, do not, treat even good and bad same. Can we reconcile these two is a question. So is that applicable for a sadhaka to treat good and bad as same? Or a sadhaka should practice good and bad, distinction of good and bad until they reach a certain state. Until then, it's relevant to see good and bad. I think that's the question. I hope, Kalyani, I have paraphrased it. Okay. I will open it up to anyone who would like to answer. Yes, Brother Dasan.
Yeah, Sairam, brother. We studied before the Sriya and Priya. So what is good for spiritual purpose? What is going to elevate for us? Then that is, we can separate that one good and bad. For an example, today, if you want to go for a party or you want to go to a satsangam, which one is going to helpful for me, for my spiritual uplift? So you have to select which is good and bad. Thank you, Brother Saira.
Thank you, Brother Dasan.
So sorry.
Just go ahead, Auntie. Please go ahead, Auntie.
According to Brother Dasan, so going to a party is a bad thing.
I'm not saying party. Even if you go to a party, your mind supposed to be with the Lord. But the spiritual aspect, we are in the spiritual aspect. We have to know which is good for us on the spiritual aspect. Right? That's what I'm looking at that one. Even if you go to a party, it's not going to affect you, because if you are looking at everything same and it doesn't, you are not happy, you are not sad, your mind is set to remain same, then it doesn't affect you.
Yeah. Swami is speaking here about equanimity.
then you follow the equanimity over there.
That is also okay. Saira.
Yes, Sister Ananti.
Saira, the good and bad, it depends on my mental condition. The same thing or the same event, it would be good if my mental condition is something, and it will turn into an opposite if my mental condition is different. That's why Swami is telling that if someone doesn't have any differentiation, that means that their mental condition, the auntie, the Manibhashyam auntie, already nicely explained, it's all about our mental state and the equanimity. This all depends on our mental state. It could be one time, it could be good, and the same thing, another time, it would be bad. So all depends on our mental condition. That's why the Swami or Lord Krishna says, whoever feels no difference between these, grief and joy, affection and dislike, or good and bad, that I love those people because they are beyond the mental state. They have passed that sort of, the twin state. That means they are elevated soul kind of. I also think that grief and joy, and I accept Sister Kalyani's, the question of grief and joy, affection and dislike are little different than good and bad. And good and bad also, I think that all depends on our mental state, nothing different. We think it's good and bad are two separate things, but once you reach a certain point, it's all your mental state, nothing else. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, Sister. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
Brother Sai Ram, there is something we need to clarify on this paragraph. Swami is talking about, for us, we are not supposed to be affected with good and bad, grief or dislike. Anybody say, but when you do good things, you do with the things that you fixed your mind with the Lord and you do your action. But here, the dislike and like Swami, I think, is talking about, if any other people looking at you and they say, oh, I like it, don't get affected by that dislike. Like that only I am reading it. I don't know whether I am right. Thank you, Sarah.
You shouldn't be worried whether you're right or wrong, sister.
But that paragraph, sorry.
No.
I'm right, because here we are trying to see good and bad, we are trying to differentiate. But here, not that part. Here,
Bhagawan.
Swami says, you are not supposed to be affected by the good and bad, like and dislike, and difference between the grief and joy. That you.
So should you do good?
Yes,
and
you
avoid
do
bad.
good and offer to Lord, and whatever these kind of things comes, don't be affected with this. That's how I'm reading it. I'm understanding that.
Thank you.
See the line here. I love those who feel no difference. I love those who feel
yes, for me only. Yes.
Those who show that equanimity in their actions, in their feelings, in their attitude towards things. Swami likes, Bhagavan likes such people.
Yes.
So as far as possible, good and bad are his own creations, Bhagavan's creation. Both exist. The opposites have to exist together so that we can make the discrimination, what is good, what is bad. But as far as possible, we try to see no difference between good and bad. And if we take up that equanimity, that attitude of equanimity, then God likes us.
Yes.
Saira.
You shouldn't please others. We should only please Swami and do it. And some people like it, some people don't like it. That's okay. But you shouldn't be affected. That's all I'm looking at.
Okay, thank you, sister.
Bye.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please? So I think, Kalyani, I think your question is answered in the next paragraph, the last paragraph, which we have not read in Telugu. So I will ask Auntie to read that also in Telugu, and then I think we can discuss your question. Sister Ambike, somebody I think wanted to say something. Or?
Yeah, the thing is, Sai Ram, brother. The thing is, the human values, all these things we have to practice, and at the same time, in and out, we have to practice the same. Before every day we are going to bed, we have to value that what I did it wrong or the right and all. We have to check it, and then you can see the gradually you are improving. Yes, gradually you are improving. So that is in a few days later, or is gradually you can see, or the Maya curtain is opening. Then only you feel God is okay. It's a divinity. You are starting, okay, you are connecting and all those things. That is my opinion. Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sister.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes, Auntie, we'll read the third paragraph Telugu and then we will discuss.
దీనిని విన్న పాఠకులకు సందేహము కలుగవచ్చును.
All those who have listened to what I have said here, they can get a doubt.
ఏమనా ద్వేషము లేకుండినంత మాత్రమున వాసుదేవ సర్వమిదమ్మను తత్వమును పూర్తిగా అనుభవించవచ్చునా అని.
They will ask whether if you remove dvesha or hatred, will naturally, or you will get the experience of God is everywhere. That's the doubt.
ద్వేషము లేకుండినంత మాత్రమున దేహి చిక్కడు, దేహి చేచిక్కడు.
Just because you do not have dvesha, you will not attain the dehi, the one who is the indweller.
ఆనందము ప్రాప్తించదు.
You will not attain bliss.
భగవత్ ప్రీతికి గురికాడు.
You will not be dear to the Lord. You will not be the
I think Bhagavad Priti Gurikadu, thus will not win the grace of the Lord. There it stops. Yes. But here in Telugu, the paragraph continues.
Yes, Auntie.
So, just because there is no hatred, that doesn't mean that you have attained the Lord. There is something more which we have to do.
So Kalyani, I think the question is, I think just the fact that you don't differentiate good and bad naturally does not make you a good, make you person closer to the Lord. But I think your question is still valid. Until we reach that point, we have to do what is good, because it takes us to nearer to the Lord. But the Lord says at some point you have to start treating them equally, and then you get closer to me. I think that's what he's going to explain. So that differentiation, as I think as Sister Aruna also mentioned, we should not be affected by them in a negative way from an emotional perspective, but then we need to know what is good, which will take us closer to the Lord, and do those things. Because the reality is we are not giving up something which is because it's good or bad. We will do all actions which will take us closer to the Lord. So the word is sat there, not necessarily good. So it's actions and activities which will take us closer to the Lord is equally important. But not with the sense of, we don't like it, we like it. We like the action only because it takes us closer to the Lord, not because we are weighing good and bad and things like that, I would say. I think that's my understanding. I'll stop here. I will ask others if they would like to share anything.
So, Uncle, is it like this? Like for now, at this point, what I consider good company or what I consider good is anything that will take me closer to the Lord, and what I consider bad is things that pull me away from the Lord. But as I progress, there should be more and more things that take me closer to the Lord. Like everything should kind of remind me of the Lord, and eventually everything, every single thing should be taking me closer to the Lord.
Exactly. Thanks, Kalyan. I think that's my understanding too. I will ask others to share any thoughts they have.
Uncle, in this one, why is Swami saying if you do not have dvesha, you will not attain the dehi? Because to not have dvesha is very difficult, to not even have a mild preference for something. That's good. That's like, then haven't you already reached that state, the ultimate state?
See, there are many people who say, that person is not a devotee, he doesn't pray, but that person is a good person. This is a very common statement about people which we hear. People say, oh, that person was a very good person. He doesn't pray to God, but he's a very good person.
That's right.
So there are people who rationally, through reasoning, reach a state of equanimity. But there's possibility. As you said, it's very rare. Even such people can slip sometimes from the equanimous state. But Swami is just giving that as an option for intellectual people. They think we can be without hate. Sometimes indifference also will cause you not to have any hate. Let anyone, do anything. I don't care about it. Also can give some sort of a dvesha-free state. But that does not make a person divine. The God liked by God. I think that's my understanding. Yes, Sister Aruna, you have something to say?
Brother, I just want to add a point here. Swami says that he's an embodiment of love. So whoever is showing love, don't you think they are closer to the divine? Just ask him. See, he says, right, I'm an embodiment of love. I'm an embodiment of this. So whoever following embodiment of truth, they are following Swami's, the Lord's words. That's what I think. They are closer, but they eventually come to know the Lord's way of teachings and all. But they are on the right path because of he's representing in a love way. Right? Swami is an embodiment of love. That's how I think. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, sister. I think again you have brought the topic of love. I think which we discussed last chapter, where Swami says, "What is love? What is real love?" I think chapter 20. We discussed that. I don't know. I will just ask everyone whether we remember what exactly Swami meant by love.
Saram, brother.
Yes,
So
brother.
Swami said unconditional love. Without it's very hard to express that one. When you
Yes.
develop that detachment and ego, and if you don't differentiate the people next door neighbor, front door neighbor, is same love without an expectation, that is a real love. Because all these problems is coming because of the attachment, detachment. Even if the Mahabharata, all haters came of ego and detachment, attachment. If you don't have those kind of things, everyone will get the love. Thank you, brother Saira.
Okay, thank you, brother. Kalyani, you have something to say?
Did he say only love towards God is real love?
Yes. Yeah. Love towards God is a real love. There can be love for this. Swami gives various meanings of love. Loving things is, loving people, loving children. That is all not love. It is should not be frittered away in many channels. It should all be pointed to God. And that's real love.
Brother, can I add something, brother? Because you're saying about the children and all. If you see God in them and doing their duties, then again, you're doing the duty there and seeing the children has given by the Lord and serving them. Then you have to have a love towards them. Thank you. I'm thinking like this. Okay.
No, Swami, sister, I think we had to revise chapter 19 again. See, the
No,
thing is,
I
I think
understand, brother, love towards the God, but you don't see God in everything. You know,
you
we
see only
forget
God.
sometime, right? We forget sometime. God, and you only pray in the room, you lock yourself and pray. Swami in the one of the Vahini said, that is not the dhyana, right? I'm just saying.
No, sister, so I think we all have this tendency, whenever we like somebody, we'll say we are seeing God in them. When we don't like somebody, then we don't see God. That cannot be love. That is mind playing tricks. Okay, we'll say, oh, I'm treating my child also as God, No, sometimes our mind plays tricks, that's all. Because if we can see divinity in one person, we should be able to see divinity in everyone. Otherwise, we are not. Our mind is just playing trick. Is my understanding, and that's what we discussed quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
I think Swami. That was the first. I think chapter 19 or 20.
19, I think.
19 maybe. Yes, Auntie Sakhu.
Yes, Swami has said it. When you plow the field and you put the seeds and water them, and when the sprouts come out, you have to build a fence around it and protect it. It's the same manner when the children are growing, you have to show them the discipline lifestyle too. They cannot use all kinds of words, what they pick from the school and everything. You have to be a guardian of discipline. Thank you, Saira.
So at that time, then you can't see the divine within them.
No, you have to see the divinity, and at the same time, that is why you have to make them good citizens, value-oriented citizens.
Okay, thank you, Auntie.
Sairam.
Sairam, Auntie.
When we love our children, there is mamakara. There is, that my children, I love them. They are my extension. So that kind of, it's not, we stop there. That is not real love. Swami says, when we love Swami, there's no condition at all. Unconditional love towards Swami. That is real love. Sairam.
Yeah, thank you, Auntie. Sister Aruna, so I think when Swami says, I am love, I am embodiment love, Swami is describing that unconditional. He does not differentiate between anyone as his or not his. They belong or not belong. Everyone equally is loved. That is love. That is seeing divinity in everyone. That's my understanding.
Thank you. I don't see.
It's I don't know whether anyone else would. Everyone is silent. It's 4:24, but anyone would like to share anything? It's just Anand.
Yeah, I have just a little clarification on the very last line. Hating another is hating oneself. Scorning another is but scorning oneself. Finding fault with another is finding fault with oneself. The little clarification on the last one, finding fault with another is finding fault with oneself. So this means that we shouldn't find any fault on others, or we shouldn't try to correct themselves. Is that the thing Lord Krishna tries to tell us? We shouldn't find any fault in others. If we find that one, that means that it's finding fault within ourselves or with ourselves. So is that the interpretation Lord Krishna says here?
Thank you very much, Sister. Very good question. So I think Sister's asking, so we should not find fault with anyone. We should not correct anyone. Is that what Krishna means here? Is the question. If we find somebody at fault, somebody not doing something right, should we not find fault, or we should saying it is our fault? How do we deal with it? I think that's a practical question she's asking. Anyone would like to share any thoughts?
That's not in the Telugu though, right?
No.
See, Swami, see one sentence in Telugu. In Telugu, tananu taanu dveshinchu konna vaadagunu kudanu selavinchanu. He says you hating yourself. So I think that has been taken and sort of expanded in the translation into these 3 points. That is hating of different kinds, good, bad, 3 things which we have already looked at, manchi chadalu. So I think that means when we find something with others, whether we like or dislike, we hate or, love, or whether we find something good or bad. I think so. That's what the translator seems to have done. So if any of those actions, distinctions, separate, differentiation we make, and Krishna is saying that means you are doing it to yourself. That's you should be understanding. So I think taking that, Sister Anand is asking, should we not correct people's fault? How, and if we find, for example, I think Sakwanti was telling the children have to be corrected. Okay, should we correct? Are we correcting a child, or is that problem in us? How do we deal with it? I think that's the question. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Brother, finding fault is different from disciplining. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
But first you have to find fault, then only you can discipline, sister. Find something wrong with the person. If you don't find anything wrong, there's nothing to discipline.
In a situation where I guess we have a duty to do something, like if we're a mother and we have to discipline a child, or for an employer and we have to correct the employee, then I think when we find fault in that person, we are actually finding fault in ourselves, because maybe there was something we didn't do correctly and that's why the misbehavior happened.
That is feeling guilt. Brother Tasan put up his hand and then he checked himself.
So, Sairam brother, if you are pointing one person, then other 3 fingers are pointing you. So before the spiritual side, only we are talking about this one. Then if you're trying to finding fault, okay, this person sang the song, some mistake there. You just concentrate, and if you're trying to fault all the time, you cannot bring your mind calm and everything. That's going to be affect your controlling the mind. That's what I'm thinking. But if you are in this worldly side, is okay. We can talk about so many things.
No,
You have
brother,
to.
there's no separation of world and spirituality. It's all say one, brother.
So if you are finding fault from other people, if you are pointing, and other 3 fingers are pointing you, so that is my things, brother.
Then we should not correct, brother.
No, we have to correct whatever that mistake they are making. If we take the kids, we have to discipline them. We have to show the right path.
But is it your fault? I think that's the question. Sister Anand is saying, if you find somebody is not doing right, Krishna is telling you should think that it is your own, you are making the mistake. Same mistake.
Yeah, same thing. Arjuna doesn't want to fight, then he's making the mistake. That's what he's explaining. All these one, you have to fight. If you don't fight, then you are not going to.
Is Krishna finding fault with Arjuna, brother?
No, not finding fault, and he's asking to do your duty. He's do your duty to establish the dharma.
Because
But
he's not doing his duty.
he's not doing the duty because he's
So
a Kshatriya, has to fight to establish the dharma. Then everybody's decided before. Then
did Krishna, so brother, did Krishna think that it was his fault?
no, Krishna didn't, and Arjuna's not supposed to think Krishna making fault, something like that.
No, the question is, Krishna is trying to correct Arjuna.
Yes.
Did Krishna find fault with Arjuna first
no,
to
no.
then correct?
No, Lord Krishna was explaining. He's not finding fault from him. He's trying to educate Arjuna. Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thank you. Yes, Uncle Gopalan.
Sairam, it's me.
Okay, Sairam.
I think we have to set an example for children when we cannot go and say you're doing wrong, but the parents or people who are surrounding the children, they have to set an example. Then they follow the right way. That's what my thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. Auntie Saku.
Yes. I have two answers.
Okay.
Regarding that children's disciplining, Baba in the next two paragraphs is saying, you have to, when the crop is growing, they have to be fostered attentively by discipline and Shraddha. So this, I didn't say, Baba is saying. Secondly, I wanted to know, in a working environment, when there's a group of team members, group of people working under one person or in a group environment, if you feel that somebody is making a mistake or anything that you don't accept, you can, instead of finding fault, you can discuss and find out what is the reason for that person to behave like that. Why he is behaving, and if it is something that can be corrected, they can speak to each other and say, if I am in your place, I will not go in that line. You can do like this in a very nice way, instead of finding fault. Finding fault is wrong.
Okay, thank you, Auntie.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we will close the session. Maybe we can discuss a little more at next week because it's 4:33. Just one, I'll just leave with one thought. Swami is saying finding fault with another is finding fault with oneself. So the thing is, even if you find fault in somebody, even if we go about correcting it, it should be like correcting our own mistake. How we will deal with our own mistakes and correct ourselves. With the same feeling, we can correct others also. We should not think that they are somebody other than us. They're connected to us. So just the way we make mistakes and we correct ourselves, we should think others also can make mistakes, and we should, with the same understanding which we have for ourselves, we should have for others as well. So I will stop with that. That's my parting thought. We can just think about it and come back. If I made a mistake and in saying that, you can think it as your own, and then we'll discuss it next week. We'll close it. Okay, Saira. Om Samastaloka Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam, brother.
Oh, thank you, Sairam.